Seattle, mass homelessness and
absolute tragedy, but all part of the way.
Well, there's a few too many.
Got to cull them numbers,
No, just consumption. You don't have to cull. It's just consumption management.
Yeah, true.
And the dream is still real. You can still sell the dream because the dream is that you go hard and you'll get there, right?
Yeah.
So if you're fucking eating, if you're in the fuckery, and then so if you go hard, you'll get there. You panhandle enough, you'll pull your way back up.
Step on enough necks, and you'll
get
be
to
there.
do somebody will give you enough money that you'll be able to hire an Uber bike, a Lime bike, and somebody you'll be able to score and keep a phone long enough to be able to hire an Uber bike to do some deliveries. Special. I mean, I think that's true. That'd be a certain way, hey? Like microeconomy, they'd have this big they'd call it a really positive thing about how homeless people, like, even if you don't have so many things required to have like residence, but we're going to let you be able to use a Lime bike to do deliveries for us if you're homeless. Right? And we'll give you special money.
And you just, do what they've been doing lately, which is, pinch a bit of power out of the lighting system, do a bit of stealing from the local government or local council,
The homeless or the...
Hack the light system. Yeah, well, that's they were saying. I saw an article the other day about the whole, possible fire hazards from the, what would you call amateur wirings.
So what's the...
you manage to, it's stinking hot, middle of the summer.
Yeah, you've talked about this before.
Your little ramshackle tent/humpy, it's definitely going to need an air conditioner, and you just managed to find one in an abandoned building, which, was easily removable and relocatable to your tent humpy. And, you're going to need some decent power to power that. So, the closest facility is the light pole down the road. So you get some of that recycled cabling that you've torn out of the walls of some abandoned building, and do your base street level electrical wiring system to fire up your little aircon.
I reckon totally. And you've got the skills.
Yep, and you'd even be able to recharge your electronic bike.
Oh, for sure. Just hack it straight into the power pole, into all the lighting.
That's it. Who's paying for it? They are.
Well, especially if you imagine you get underground and get yourself inside somewhere and figure out how to, get yourself a little bit of goodness. Like
homeliness. Get that homeliness feel, Change it from a crack house to a crack home.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's in fact, I'd be tempted to go towards sort of like underground industrial or sort of heavy commercial and other kinds of retail environments.
Well, at least you're getting some insulation,
Well, that's a three-phase. You get a whole workshop and shit going. You know what I'm saying?
Bam.
Yeah, just leaching.
That's it.
Just draining a little bit.
Lay out all the wooden dildos you could ever want.
You'd have to be very careful now, though. They often have like inline things trying to look for
the loss and drop.
Yeah, leakages. Right. So you'd have to sort of blend in now. I think you'd have to. You know what you do. Actually, you know what you do now.
Probably best just to have multiple levels of wiring going out to several street lamps.
Batteries.
Yeah, and then have it charged during the day.
You charge, and then you choose when you discharge, and in the means in which you manner. So you just blend in with the consumption. So like
maybe even get a little panel and give a bit back.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
That'd take away the whole. Well, you save your money by harvesting initially, and then once you've got enough cash, you get the little panel, and then
you're multi-purpose.
Then only when it's a cloudy day do you need to rely on the local services.
Okay, you know what? The answer is the situation of the homeless person like doing this thing. It just says to me that feature we need to quickly move to. Needs to go universal. Basically, we're paying for it is absurd. It's like internet. Internet's been weird, right? So internet's like first of all was very expensive, and then it actually got cheaper. And there was like because internet. It's curious, like when I had an internet cafe, it was expensive, and it got cheaper, and it sort of got a bit more mobile because it got mobile. It was cheaper. And everywhere, and so things like internet cafes are not very useful. But now, like comparatively, like it's actually internet's actually quite expensive again. Weirdly enough, like it's like you're saying, like I'm not trying to go into a whole conversation around that, but it is interesting, like the barrier in that way. I think like being able to, I think that like the universality, if people like, you need it, like it's so essential that how's this? Telstra was required as part of their commitment for, being bought, having their copper network bought out or whatever and blah, blah, blah. Because they had to maintain the mobile phone, the public phone network. And the public phone network's actually become all these free Wi-Fi spots. So essentially what we're saying is you can go now and I know where one is nearby, I don't think, but you can go there, you can get internet, you can get free calls, to anywhere in Australia. And I guess what that means is, and really it probably could be anywhere in the world, to be honest, like with the cost of what the fuck. But as packeted data goes, and from the internet function, effectively it is free calls to anywhere. You just got to have your own device. And yet you can't get a fucking PowerPoint. You've got to hack a thing and be called like a risk and going to cause a fire hazard. And what are we going to do about the people needing electricity? What's with this humans needing access to electricity?
You've created this necessity for the requirement, and now how are you going to fulfill it? That's right.
And I don't know. I think that I think that there's a lot of this creating of necessity in that way, and then punishing for not being able to do it. And there was a point definitely where like the generation of electricity was expensive, and it's not like it's cheap now. But and we were rolling out the infrastructure, and governments were funding it, and all this other stuff. And we moved past that. We moved into commercialization. We moved into commoditization, and where you've actually got like retail and wholesale and providers and a whole industry of the thing, to where at a point where what is the actual true cost of the infrastructure, and as opposed to like pure shareholder return, or whatever. Why aren't there just PowerPoints like not everywhere, but why not?
Yeah, we'll just make it readily available.
Why isn't power everywhere? Because like you actually think about it like in that kind of context of, do you think that if you were in as a first world country, or whatever that even means anymore, in that kind of context, do you have an advantage having access to like lighting and power and stuff in your house versus say being in Africa, maybe in certain places where you couldn't? Like right now, what we're doing would be almost impossible, or fully impossible unless we got like self-sufficient.
Yeah, that's the alternative.
Yeah, we'd have to have Starlink, we'd have to have all these other facilities. It's like, but even that wasn't possible very long ago. Until very long ago. But so I mean, that we would consider them very disadvantaged. Like Elon Musk, hate him or love him, he claims, and it seems like a reasonable and easy thing to claim. It's low-hanging fruit. That of course, if you can give people access to internet, that helps them through economic freedom. I'm not sure if it really does. I think maybe it's just some towards buying your shit constantly and having nothing. But still.